The sound of gold scraping against bone. Rome, 274 CE. You're crushed into a Roman street, shoulder to shoulder with 1,000,000 people. You can't move. You can barely breathe. Today, your only job is to watch. In the center of the procession, a woman staggers forward. Her wrists are raw, not from rope, from gold. 40 pounds of solid gold chains drag at her arms, her neck, her ankles, so heavy the 2 Roman guards walk beside her, lifting the chains just enough to keep her from collapsing face first onto the stones. That gold was hers 3 months ago. It paid her armies, built her cities, made her the most powerful ruler between Egypt and Anatolia. Her name is Zenobia of Palmyra, Queen of the East, the woman who humiliated 3 Roman emperors, now shuffling through Rome as a captive. The crowd screams. Rotten fruit explodes against her chest. Spit lands on her face. She can't wipe it away. Her hands are pinned by her own stolen wealth. A child laughs. His mother lifts him higher so he can see better. But here's what you can't see from the street. Inside Zenobia's mind, one thought repeats with every step. Not save me, not give me strength, just 3 words. Let it be the villa. Because she knows there are 2 doors waiting at the end of this road. One leads to a comfortable prison where she lives out her days as a Roman trophy. The other leads to a dark hole carved beneath the Capitoline Hill, where Rome ends its enemies in silence and makes sure nothing remains. 4 kilometers of not knowing. 4 kilometers of smiling Romans deciding whether she lives or dies. 4 kilometers of praying to gods who have never answered. This is what Rome did to captured queens. Not once, not accidentally. This was a system perfected over 7 centuries, designed to break power, lineage, memory. And Zenobia was one of the lucky ones. The others suffered fates that made execution look like mercy. Before you can understand what happened to the queens who weren't lucky, you need to understand what a Roman triumph really was. Forget the marble statues. Forget the films. The real thing was worse. When a Roman general won a major war, the Senate could grant him a triumph, the highest honor in Roman society, a parade through the heart of the city. But this wasn't celebration, it was psychological warfare, disguised as spectacle. The procession began at the Campus Martius. It wound nearly 4 kilometers through Rome. Over 1,000,000 people lined the streets. Shops closed, courts adjourned, even slaves were given the day off so they could watch other slaves being paraded in chains. First came the sound, trumpets, drums, echoing through stone streets long before anything appeared. Then the carts, wagon after wagon of stolen wealth. Gold coins minted by your ancestors, silver plates your grandmother ate from, sacred objects ripped from temples that had stood for centuries. The crowd cheered at each cart. They calculated how much their taxes would drop now that Rome had your wealth. Then came the paintings, huge wooden panels carried by slaves, cities burning, soldiers dying, palaces looted. Roman artists traveled with legions specifically to paint these scenes. The crowd laughed when they recognized your city in flames. Then came the animals. Lions in cages, elephants in chains, creatures dragged from your homeland, proof that Rome hadn't just conquered your people, it had conquered your land itself. Then, silence. The drums slowed, because now came the prisoners. Common soldiers first. Hundreds of them, chained together, shuffling. Their fate was slavery, but the crowd barely looked. They were waiting for you. Captured rulers walked at the front, still wearing crowns, still dressed in silk and gold. This was deliberate. A beaten peasant meant nothing. A queen in chains meant everything. No crown protects you. No army saves you. No throne is beyond Rome's reach. And here's what the films never show: the uncertainty. Some lived, some vanished underground the moment the parade ended. The Tullianum prison beneath the Capitoline Hill, removed while celebrations continued above, never seen again. You never knew which fate awaited you. That uncertainty was part of the torture. For queens, the calculation was brutal. A dead queen became a forgotten name. A live queen became a warning, unless she was too dangerous to keep alive. The decision rested entirely on the emperor, and you wouldn't know his choice until the final step. In 60 CE, on a cold island at the edge of the Roman world, a queen learned exactly how little her crown meant. Her name was Boudica, Queen of the Iceni. Her husband, King Prasutagus, spent his reign appeasing Rome, paid taxes, followed laws, even left half his kingdom to Emperor Nero in his will, the other half to his daughters, a desperate attempt at protection. Rome ignored it. Within days of his death, Roman officials arrived with soldiers. They seized everything. Nobles dragged from homes, estates confiscated overnight, relatives chained. Boudica protested. She demanded to speak to the procurator, Catus Decianus. He agreed. Tacitus records what happened next. Boudica was seized publicly, stripped, tied to a post, flogged. A Roman flogging tore flesh from bone. She survived. Then her daughters were brought forward. Tacitus doesn't name them. He says only that they were unmarried. They were handed to the soldiers. Boudica screamed. She watched. Rome made sure she watched. This was the message. Your queen is nothing. Your daughters are nothing. Your tribe is nothing. Catus Decianus expected submission. He was catastrophically wrong. Within weeks, Boudica raised an army. Tribes flooded in. They burned Calamudinum, then Londinium. Archaeology still shows the ash layer. 70,000 Romans dead. Boudica rode at the front, her daughters beside her. Tacitus records her words. She fought not as a queen, but as a mother. The final battle crushed her forces. She poisoned herself. She knew what Rome did to captured queens. Her daughters vanished.
40 years before Boudica burned Britain, another queen learned that mercy could be more cruel than execution. Her name was Thusnelda, wife of Arminius, the man who destroyed 3 Roman legions in the Teutoburg forest in 9 CE. 15,000 soldiers entered, almost none left. Legion eagles captured. The commander, Varus, killed himself. Augustus reportedly wandered his palace screaming, "Varus, give me back my legions!" Rome never forgot. When they couldn't capture Arminius, they took his wife. Thusnelda was pregnant. Her own father betrayed her, handed her to Rome. She gave birth in captivity, her son Thumelicus. In 17 CE, Germanicus celebrated his triumph. Thusnelda walked Rome in chains, her infant in her arms. The crowd screamed for the baby's death. Stones were thrown. Soldiers shielded her, not to protect her, to preserve the spectacle. She never cried. Her son was raised a slave, trained as a gladiator. The heir of Rome's greatest enemy died in the arena, unnamed, unremembered. Thusnelda vanished into servitude, her bloodline erased. This is what Rome perfected. Then came Zenobia. She knew these stories. Every queen did. That's why she prayed for the villa. Aurelian spared her, not from kindness, from calculation. She lived, married a Roman senator, raised Roman daughters. Her empire dissolved into Latin. Her name survived, her power did not. That was Rome's genius, not conquest, absorption, erasure. The Mamertine prison still stands. Tourists take photos, drink espresso above buried screams. Rome didn't just kill its enemies, it turned them into ghosts. And yet you're hearing this. They failed. Subscribe. These stories were meant to stay buried. The next queen's fate makes this look merciful.